Dreamers live here with Bayut. Find real and authentic properties using TrueCheck. Download the app or visit Bayut.com.
Right, it's always good to speak to people who see the numbers firsthand when it comes to real estate. And Bayut sees some that are a little bit different than others. Rather than the sales transactions, the number of transactions, the price at which things were sold for, Bayut gets to see what people hope to get.
Absolutely.
On both the rental and the sales side. They've been having a look at the Abu Dhabi property market for 2024, put out two very punchy reports, and in the studio to tell us what they've seen, the Vice President of Sales for Dubizzle and Bayut, Fibha Ahmed. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brandy. Always great to see you.
Let's start talking about sales. And I'm a little bit more interested in affordable property than luxury. I'm going to be honest, because I'm going to guess that that's the majority of our listenership this morning. The prices have been rising by how much?
I'm glad you brought up first Abu Dhabi property market. I think we talk a lot about Dubai, but it's one of my favorites when I come here and talk about Abu Dhabi because that's something new or something different. So what we've seen on Bayut last year is consistent increase in demand for properties for sale in Abu Dhabi in both segments. And as you mentioned, yes, we talk a lot about the luxury segment, and we know Saadiyat and Yas Island are our favorite. But when you look at the affordable segment, both the apartments and the villa segment of Abu Dhabi market has seen sustained increase in demand, sustained increase in visits, as well as inquiries generated on the platform. Just to put things into context, we saw over 100% more listings come to the market thanks to all the off-plan launches that happened in Abu Dhabi. And backing that up, we have seen a significant increase, about 73% more demand in the villa communities as compared to apartments. Through searches and inquiries. And we've seen about 50% more inquiries as compared to last year in the apartment segment. Now, when you look at the affordable segment, one area that stood out in both apartments and villas is Al Ghadir, which is relatively affordable. Yes, we can talk about Al Reem Island, which is our very favorite, and it's top of the searches. But what stood out for me with regards to Al Ghadir is the increased demand in that segment, primarily driven by the fact that prices are so high and people are looking for something mid-segment affordable to make the new home, roughly accounting for about 20% increase in price per square feet for apartments and villas.
What counts as affordable?
So you have to segment it again in apartments and villa communities. In apartments, when we look at the Abu Dhabi market, and I've always said this, yes, people have their own definition. For some, what is affordable could be mid-tier for others. In Abu Dhabi market, anything that comes under $1 million dirham for apartments and anything that's roughly between 2 to 3 million for villas is considered affordable. In the less than $1 million bracket for apartments, of course, we have the Ghadir, which has seen the highest price increase, but we also have Al Reem and we have Al Reef area, which has garnered a lot of interest, a lot of inquiries, and they have great ROIs.
Are you having to, we spoke about Dubai a wee while ago and you said you were having to change some communities out of the affordable segment and into mid-tier and upwards.
Correct.
Is it the same in Abu Dhabi?
I'd say Abu Dhabi market is really in the early stages where we're seeing a lot of new areas come up. Of course, the island living is always going to be considered luxury. And when we look at Dubai, we look at affordable, mid-tier and luxury segment. For Abu Dhabi, with the areas and communities and a lot that's going to happen in the future, we currently just look at affordable and prime to luxury segment. Do we see shifts within the areas? Not so much, because Abu Dhabi market is more on a steady trajectory rather than eye-watering numbers like we see in Dubai.
What does the sort of the supply and demand balance look like in Abu Dhabi?
There is definitely a lot of demand, like we touched on that. Supply is expected to come into the market, especially villa communities as well, and apartments this year. Areas like Saadiyat, Yas Island are going to have launches that are handing over pretty soon. So we would see some supply come into the market. It's not going to be as big as we expect in Dubai, but I think it's enough to kind of keep the prices in check and not make them go crazy high.
Talk to me about rents. How much did you see rents that were being asked for by landlords rise this year?
In the rental segment, of course, we've heard that the luxury segment of the market is doing pretty well in Abu Dhabi. Island living is favorite for all. Saadiyat and Yas Island both have recorded up to about 20%, 26% increase in price per square feet for the rental properties. Whereas when you look at the affordable segment, your areas like Reef, areas like Gadir, Reem Island are also kind of hovering around the 20% mark. So I would say there is pressure on the rental market. Last year, rental prices in Abu Dhabi saw a lot of increase, and I think that kind of jumps into why people are looking to buy in the long term, probably move out a little bit from the main city area, go towards the suburbs and look at the projects that are handing over soon.
What are you seeing in terms of the rise in number of searches for rentals?
For rentals, it has been a steady increase. I would say about 58% more demand we saw on our platform this year as compared to last year. Of course, when you look at rental numbers, they're always high, so percentage increase is always going to be slightly less than sale. But yeah, there has been a steady inquiries on the rental segment, both on the affordable as well as the luxury side.
We had a major announcement at the end of last week when it comes to infrastructure that will link Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and that was the high-speed train.
Correct.
Going between Jeddah and going through Yas and Reem Islands. What impact might that have on property, not just in Abu Dhabi, but in Dubai as well?
I would say that this was long overdue, and we have been talking about it, the hard rail, and how it is going to increase the connectivity and probably reduce the commute time as well. Not just this, but also all the other infrastructure projects and around roughly about 450 billion that the government is looking to invest into infrastructure this year or future years is all going to shape up the desirability of the Abu Dhabi real estate market as well as the job scenario over there. So I think all of this is going to continue to put a very positive impact on the real estate.
The high-speed rail, though, is pretty special in terms of being able to get people from one emirate to another in 30 minutes, and not
Indeed.
just from one emirate to another, but sort of, into the emirate rather than the outskirts. Could it make people more emirate agnostic about where they live and work? So more likely, and I know people do live in one, work in the other at the moment, but to increase that?
I would say, of course, anything that facilitates transportation, that eases your commute time, or you don't have to worry about driving 1.5 hours just to get into Abu Dhabi. I myself make frequent visits to our Abu Dhabi office. It's definitely going to increase my visits to Abu Dhabi and eventually probably materialize my own plan of buying probably an investment opportunity in Abu Dhabi, because I always think that Abu Dhabi is a pretty stable market and is going to be maturing and gaining a lot of capital appreciation. So definitely not only the job prospects, but also investment would make people look at other options, and people who are getting priced out of Dubai would start exploring areas. And I would say areas within Abu Dhabi and Dubai. For example, Al Jurf area, which is kind of between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, also saw a lot of searches on our platform with Jurf Gardens coming up there. So there's a lot to explore now with this.
Fibha, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Fibha Ahmed is the Vice President for Sales at Dubai and Bayut. She's been in this morning with the sales numbers and the rental numbers, what they are seeing being listed on the Dubai and Bayut platforms. We appreciate your time.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.